What is up, Thunder Nation? Welcome to Thunderform Live, our second edition here. The Thunder just beat the San Antonio Spurs by a score of 105-93, improving their season record to 4-0. A game where Victor Wembanyama struggled, I guess you could say the least, and had some other things going on. But really, guys, Oklahoma City, not a great shooting night for some of the players. SGA specifically, 2 of 10, I think, from three-point land. Didn't do well on the glass, but come away victorious, winning by double digits, 105-93.
Yeah, Oklahoma City was shooting the ball great the first half. Slowed down. They finished the game 17-41. SGA, 2 of 10 from behind the arc. Chet Holmgren behind the arc was flawless, 3 of 3, all in the first half. So really slowed down in the second half, but kind of what happens when you get a big lead against a young team that's not that good.
Yeah, the Thunder, they continue to dominate defensively, guys. And it's said here, Dort with 20. Dort, if he's able to shoot the ball like he was able to tonight consistently, he's one of the best 3-and-D players in the league. There it is, Dort, 6 for 8 from 3, shot the ball extremely well. And this is a team, as I said, defensively, they continue to dominate, guys, early in the season.
Yeah, and I see Braden saying about A.J. Mitchell, unbelievable game for A.J. Mitchell. If they're going to get that kind of production from him, I mean, let's start the parade. Start the parade in OKC as soon as possible because if they can get that from him. Dort, though, to me, you guys know, I mean, I talk about Dort a lot. I've never been I love Dort, but to me, he's not a guy you can count on that all the time.
But Jay, you can count on defense every night.
I agree, but the shooting. I know he's gotten better, but he's not a guy I'm just wanting him to shoot a lot of threes.
Doesn't have to be this year. I don't think it has to be.
The big news from the day probably is that Jalen Williams is out another 4 to 6 weeks. Your backup center irritated again, the hamstring. So he's going to be out another 4 to 6 weeks. And it is going to affect them when they get into games against big centers, specifically guys like Gobert. You got Hartenstein already out. You got now Jalen Williams out another 4 to 6 weeks. That's going to hurt him, I think. Andrew, what's up, Andrew? How you doing, man?
Hey,
been waiting on one of these elite shooting nights. They got it. Great shooting night. But I look at the defense, 93 points to San Antonio. I don't know how many games that is now where they've held the opponent low 90s or below. It's quite a bit. Am I mistaken this year?
Yeah, I think it's Hunter will tell us. It's 2 out of 4 or 3 out of 4. I'm not exactly sure.
But if they shoot the ball like this, there's not many teams that are going to beat them.
3 out of 4, they've allowed 95 or less.
That's good.
The one exception was Atlanta 104, but that was a 24-point win. So
Clayton 20. I don't think a lot of people think OKC underperformed last year in the playoffs. No. It was their year in it to kind of learn. A lot of people thought maybe they could get by the Mavericks. It was a great series, but great series. But I wouldn't say underperformed greatly.
No, and I know there's going to be a lot of hype for OKC. The way they've started, they're going to have a really good record this year. There's no denying it. But it doesn't matter until you get to the playoffs and your matchup and who it's going to be. And you can't have injuries. You got to still shoot the ball really well. But I'm not going to slow the roll, Clayton 20. I feel like they're a really good team. I feel like they're a top 2 team in the West.
Hunter Jackson Jay. Safe to say, Chet Holmgren most improved from last year.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he was already. They were talking about it on the broadcast tonight that any other draft class or rookie class, that is, sorry, he wins Rookie of the Year with what he did last year.
Yeah.
Just you have a generational talent in Wembanyama in your same class, you're not going to win Rookie of the Year. And what he's doing right now, I mean, again, slowed down a little bit in the second half, but the first half was a pure masterclass from Chet Holmgren. 2 more tonight.
Something that I think about with this Thunder team that's being understated, and I feel like these two players and specifically their value, I don't think can be stated enough, and that's Wallace and Wiggins both. I think having them off the bench, their ability to consistently hit open shots, be very solid, or maybe even some would consider Wallace elite on the defensive end of the floor already at this point. He's really, really good. And you just talk about having guys like that in the playoffs, along with Alex Caruso, who has that experience. It's going to help you so much. And this team, whenever they get into the playoffs this year, I don't think that we'll see some of the struggles that they had like they did last year, just because of the fact they have the experience now.
Yeah, I see Thunder versus Celtics finals, calling it now. Keelan says probably the favorites right now. Someone asked, who will stay undefeated longer, Cavs or Thunder? I think it's the Thunder.
Yeah.
Hey,
let me pull up the Cavs schedule, then I'll give you guys that.
Hey,
pull it up for us.
Cavs are overrated.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think the Cavs are that good.
The Cavs won't make it out of the second round in the East.
The Cavs they're overrated. I still think watch out for the Portland game Friday night.
Friday night Portland.
I think Portland could give them that could be a sneaky game. I will say the Chet stuff, guys. I need to see Chet against a team with a really
Jokic. We already saw it, Jay.
I get Jokic, but I still don't think I think Jokic likes to go outside a little bit. I want to see him with a guy where he's trying to play the five against a guy like Gobert or something. I want to see
Gobert won't back you down.
Chet versus Joel Embiid, Jay. That's what we need to see.
Well, Joel Embiid has to play first.
Yeah.
So.
True.
Bailey, we've already discussed this on the other podcast, bro. I learned something new tonight. Okay,
he learned something new tonight, and he's been enthralled.
Jay, Jay, are you a fan of it?
Dude, I was loving it. I must say.
We do have you guys that are joining us. This is our second Thunderform Live. We'll be doing this throughout the season. We do want you to check out the fan stop at thefanstop.com. But more importantly, right now we have call-ins that are going to be opening up probably in about 10 minutes or so, where you'll be able to call in, give us your thoughts on the Thunder in the game tonight. They beat the San Antonio Spurs 105-93.
Hey, Greg God says Mavs still scare me, but with iHeart, we win that series.
Too early to start talking serious.
Well,
you know what? It's hard for me anytime Clay's on a team. It just, gosh.
That's what I was going to say, Jay. If Klay Thompson plays like he has been early in the season for the majority of the year, Mavs are going to be a tough team to beat in the West.
Hey, they are going to be a tough team to beat, and they had a good run last year. And with Luka, you can't count them out.
Hey,
for sure. How deep is the Thunder? Seriously, when you think about as they get farther into the season, how deep are they going to go?
Player-wise, I mean, the guards are very deep. The question right now is big one, but I think by playoffs, the hope at least for Oklahoma City is that Isaiah Hartenstein's not going to be injured all year. Jay Will's not going to be injured all year. And you're going to have those guys back to give you the depth that they didn't have last postseason. I mean, that's why they brought in Hartenstein. But at the guards, I mean, you guys mentioned it. A.J. Mitchell, I mean, what he's doing, 5 of 6, 12 points tonight. He was a second-round pick from Santa Barbara. And you're already – Caruso had a bad offensive night. Doesn't matter, though, because Mitchell's able to pick them up. Isaiah Joe hitting 2 more threes tonight as well. I mean, they have very talented guards.
They do, and I see some people talking about Clay, and Braden says the consistency. I don't care. I don't – if I'm a Thunder fan, I don't want no part of the Mavs in the playoffs.
He's old, though. He's getting old, too.
And I want no part of the Lakers.
Okay,
Zero part of the Lakers, either one of them.
Couple of things from tonight's game that I think stand out. Jackson mentioned Cason Wallace. He had a couple of step backs. He looks a lot better than last year, in my opinion, on the offensive side. And I'm going to bring up something what Joe says. Joe apparently is a Spurs fan. Listen, watching the first half, I think there's a lot of similarities. And hold your whatever you want to say, Thunder, whatever you want to say here, finish the sentence. Mark Daignault and Popovich and the way Thunder's moving the ball looks a lot like the Spurs used to. I'm just saying. And I don't think that's an overstatement. Now, I'm not saying they're the Spurs, the great Spurs teams. They are moving the ball. They're playing unselfishly. They're flipping the ball. They're reversing the ball. They're driving and dishing. And Mark Daignault seems like, man, he's Guys, he is impressive.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, you can't argue that. That's the best move they made when they hired Mark Dagnall. But Steven's asking how good's this defense. I think his defense is really good. I mean, they will absolutely mark it down, book it. They will have an all defensive player this year.
Yeah.
They haven't had that before. They will have one.
They could have multiple.
They could have multiple, but I guarantee you they will have one.
I mean,
for sure.
I wouldn't be shocked if Chet ends up first team all defense this year.
Well, if he continues with the blocks, he might.
How many blocks did he have tonight?
2 blocks tonight, 2 steals.
Hey,
you have guys like
talk
Dort.
to us about Wemby. Jesse's asking about Wemby. He went in the locker room. You guys maybe talk on that.
He took a fall early in the game. Did not do anything though. Missed a bit of time. He had 1 field goal. That was 9 minutes and 50 seconds left in the first quarter. His other 4 points were from field goals or free throws, sorry, as Greg God mentioned at the beginning of the live. So nothing really from Wemby.
What are your thoughts?
Get to see that showdown between Chet and Wemby.
What are your thoughts on Wemby? Wow,
really
dead silent. Okay,
On Wemby, well, I mean, he's
speechless. He's great.
He's not in a good spot. He's a terrible team around him. And I think he's going to be great. I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up being one of the greatest centers of all time in the NBA with just the talent in the ceiling.
Well, I don't call him a center.
Oh, well, then what would you call him?
I unicorn. I mean, he's not a center. You want me to tell you what I think the main problem with him is right now? He doesn't play down low enough.
No.
I think he's shooting too many threes.
Popovich doesn't even call him a 5. If you read that article today from
I get him on the block is where I get him. I know he's not big enough to pound people, but get him on the block and develop a jump hook or something. You're that tall. I mean, seriously, he's shooting. How many threes did he shoot? I don't know how many threes he shot tonight, but I watched him the other night and he shot way too many threes in my opinion.
0 of 3 from beyond.
In fact, Chris Paul gave him the eye a few times like, dude, bro, get down low. Like, what are you doing? Chris Paul's been in the league forever, and he's probably thinking, dude, you're not God's gift yet. Get down there.
Chris Paul being in San Antonio is not only going to help out the guards, it's also going to help out Wemby. Yep. One of the best vets to be around in the NBA. Dude's seen it all over the course of his career, and I think he still has some good basketball left in him.
Well, there was a play where Wemby, he had one of the Thunder guards. I don't remember if it was Caruso or Wallace or Dort or someone, but he was in the post and they didn't give him the ball in the post. So,
yeah, it's weird. The Spurs don't look the same. Even they don't move the ball like they used to. I know that they don't have the players that they did, but how many more years is he going to coach?
Jay, guys, I'm going to say it again. I get having big guys is great. If you don't have great guard play, guys who can continually slash to the basket, your offense isn't going to be anything. Who do the Spurs have that's just going to slash? And if you say Chris Paul, he's like 43 years old.
I mean, I would say their best player they have attacking the basket is probably Keldon Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, possibly.
Yeah,
I like Sokan a lot.
Joe says CP3 was brought in to dish it down low to Wemby. It worked in the preseason, but they got away from it. They already have. But I think that's what Wemby is. I think he's going to he seems like to me he's just going to kind of do what he wants to do. I don't know. I may be totally off base, but he just seems like that dude because he's done it wherever he's been. You can't do that in the NBA right now.
Vassell is hurt, and Greg God, they will never move on from Pop until Pop says he's moving on.
You can't move on from him. The guy's done so much for that franchise.
You absolutely can.
You really can. I mean, you can.
They're not Jay. It would be ridiculous. You don't fire a Hall of Famer.
It's kind of like Bill Belichick. Like you just gotta wait.
You don't fire a Hall of Famer.
Like you can't get rid of him.
I'm not saying they're going to fire him. I'm just saying you can move on from him. You can part ways.
Yeah, when he says he's hanging it up, dude.
Yeah.
Is that what happened with Bill Belichick?
There's certain guys, Jay.
No, they mutually parted ways. What that was.
Well, he does not have a job right now, Jay. There was plenty of opportunities for him to get a job. He doesn't. He's living it up, retired. So
I don't think Pop will coach more than 2 years anyway.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Any chance? I just lost your name. She coaches the Aces now, right?
Hammond.
What?
Her last name's Hammond.
Becky Hammond, right?
Becky Hammond.
No,
Any
not
chance
as a head
she would be
coach.
the next head coach of the Spurs?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Guys, I'm not so sure on that.
I don't know enough about her, Jerm. Crystal, what's up, Crystal? Says,
Bobby Bowden was like 88 years old, though.
yeah.
And
Jackson leave? Jackson out?
Thanks for joining us with your thoughts, Jackson. Phone lines are going to be open now. So if you want to call in and talk to us, here's the link. We would love to hear from you tonight. On Thunderform Live, Oklahoma City wins 105-93 against the Spurs. Great night for the Thunder, and they improved to 4-0 on the season. Friday night, they got the Portland Trailblazers.
That's a great question Steven asked. Maybe we should do this.
Oh, we absolutely should.
Yeah, I think we should. I mean, that's only right. That's a great point, Steven.
Jay would be like a mini Chihuahua, and I would be like a Doberman, okay? And I don't know what Hunter would be.
First off, is there such thing as a mini Chihuahua? They're all small.
We have one.
I'm not sure.
There's not even a such thing as a mini Chihuahua. They're just Chihuahuas.
It's a Chihuahua mixed with something else,
Jeremy,
Okay.
What dog did you mention for you?
I'm not sure, Jay.
You hate dogs.
Yeah.
I do.
You absolutely. Last time I saw you around a dog, you were on the kitchen cabinet. You were scared to death. You were standing on
A
the
little dog,
Hey.
too. It's not even
Hey,
like
guys, we haven't talked a lot about Caruso.
He's solid. I mean, he's not.
What's his biggest strength he's bringing to the table?
I mean, defense more than anything tonight. 0 points. I mean, not what you want to see from him. 0 of 5 from the field, 0 of 3 from beyond the arc, but 4 steals.
What was his plus minus?
His plus minus was +1. So
It doesn't matter. The guy can throw out 0 points and he's in plus
Is
side.
there a worse stat in all of sports than the plus minus?
Oh, I like the stat.
I like the stat as well.
Why do you not like that?
Because it's dependent on the other 4 guys on the floor.
Well, yeah, it's about
I
the
can
team.
play out of my mind, and the other 4 guys suck. And guess what? I'm going to get minus.
Well, yeah, because you're losing at that point. Herm.
I mean, maybe
It's
you're
a
not
team
helping the team
sport.
out.
Yeah, it's a team sport. Like,
Joseph says leadership.
I'm going to throw a name out. I'm going to throw a name out there, and you tell me if this is a good comparison.
I already know who you're going to say.
Do you?
Former Thunder?
Yeah.
I'm going to say you're thinking of one of 2 guys, either Nick Collison or Derek Fisher.
Derek Fisher.
There you go. Man, we're psychic, Jay.
He's a better version of Derek Fisher by far.
He's absolutely a better Derek Fisher.
Derek Fisher, what he brought to the Thunder, if you remember, in the leadership, the defense, all that. He was very.
that was a young team as well.
And that was
Very
a young
team at that point.
he did help him out in that way. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Don't you think, guys, that this Thunder team, Stephen G talks about the chemistry. I don't think it's even close to other teams right now, what they have going on. OKC was like this in Westbrook, Durant, Harden, and Ibaka days. They were like this. It's very similar to that team. I think this one's probably even more close-knit because I don't see any ego on this team as far as got to have the ball in my hands.
Right now, 2016 Thunder versus this Thunder. Who you picking?
I think this Thunder team's better defensively.
I'm with you, Jerm. I think from
that team was loaded.
Because that 2016 team was great, but I think the depth that Oklahoma City has now, and if you're saying Hartenstein healthy, Jay Will as well healthy, so that they have the help down low, I'm taking the 2024-2025 Thunder team because there's just so much more depth on this team.
Yeah, and before I get to Greg God's comment, I have to comment on this. But before I do, one thing that this team has that team did not have, and I think Andrew mentioned earlier, somebody did, the shooting. That if you remember, that team, other than when Durant was going from 3, Westbrook couldn't shoot it from out there. Andre Robertson definitely couldn't shoot it from out there. They didn't have – who was the guy had the weird, funky-looking shot? I don't remember his name now.
Talking about Kyle Singler?
No.
Cephalosha?
Hunter. Did you mention
Cephalosha?
Kyle Singler? No, I think his last name was it Murray or he was gosh, it'll come to me. Somebody will drop it in the chat. I know they will, but
Jeremy Lamb?
No, he had a funky looking release. Not
Anthony Morrow.
No, that's who I'm talking about.
Doug McDermott? I mean, I don't know who else you're talking about.
Anthony Morrow's who it was.
No, that's not who I'm talking about.
Pull up the roster. Hey.
K was his first name started with a K. I know that.
Kevin?
The only guys.
Kevin. It was Kevin something.
First name K was Kevin Durant or Kyle Singler. So
maybe it was the year before. Maybe it was years before that. Sorry. But anyway, moving on.
Hey,
the KD stuff. I don't want any part of it. People may hate me for that.
Are you talking about DJ Augustine?
No. Hey, he had a smooth shot. Jay,
I'll look it up for you.
Jay.
Yeah.
The KD stuff, I think KD would hurt the chemistry. Obviously, having him back in OKC and winning a title would be a storybook for him. I think he hurts the chemistry. Derek Waiters.
Dion.
No.
Sorry,
it was Dion Waiters. No, it was not. It's not him.
With KD, it, like Germ says, comes down to what do you have to give up? There, with the way the Suns are playing right now, there is no chance that they trade Kevin Durant and not guaranteeing that they're getting a J-Dub at the minimum in return on top of a buttload of picks.
And so,
that's where it comes down to. If they're going to be able to trade him for purely picks, then why not? Even though chemistry might go downhill from it, wouldn't be as tight-knit of a group. But if you have to give up somebody like a J-Dub, it's not worth it, in my opinion.
Was it Caron Butler, Jay?
No. This is going to drive me nuts. I'm going to figure it out.
Oklahoma City defensive rating, Jackson says 91.3. The league average is 113. Yeah, it's phenomenal.
That's a good stat.
Hey, are you making up this player because we've went?
No, it must have been earlier years, but it's going to
way earlier years.
Maybe it was.
I think it was Anthony Morrow. He had a funky shot. It wasn't Cephalosha. Andre Robertson had a funky shot, and guess what? It never went in.
No, this is going to drive me nuts. It was Kevin. What was his name? Golly, guys, I'm sorry. But whatever. He was a weird-looking three-point shooter. He was their best shooter. Maybe it was back in 2008. I don't know. He went to Sacramento, I believe, after that.
Best shooter.
He was the best shooter on the team.
Wow. It wasn't, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist didn't play for OKC.
I didn't say Michael Kidd-Gilchrist.
No, Jackson did. Kevin Martin.
Kevin Martin, that's it. Kevin Martin, Thurman. Thank you, bro. Gosh, finally somebody got – remember, he had a
– That's right. That's right. We got him in a trade.
What year was that?
They got Kevin Martin in a trade. They thought
he was for Harden. They traded Harden and got Kevin Martin and Jeremy Lamb.
He was the best shooter on the team, was he not? Kmart?
Kmart.
It was 1 year.
Thank you. Now I'm not an idiot like Jerm thinks.
2013 season with 3-point percentage, 42% from beyond the arc. So yes.
But realistically, this team, what do you think shooting wise from the 3-point line? Do you think they're going to end up with by the end of the year?
You think they could shoot at a 40% clip?
Yes. I mean, tonight they finished over 40%, 41.5%. And like I said, they were shooting the ball great in the first half. The threes were just going in like crazy. Cooled down in the second half, still finished with over 40% from.
If they shoot over 40%, I'm telling you right now, they're the world champions.
I mean, the three ball is their identity. It was last year, and that's kind of
they
where
didn't shoot over 40%.
Well, if you remember in the playoffs, they went cold.
Not in the playoffs, yes, the playoffs they went cold.
I don't
that's
think
the
they
thing.
did regular season.
That's the thing, though. Shooting in the 3-point line specifically, you can lose it in a series very easily if you're not hitting 3-point ball. I mean, look at Dallas last year. They were on fire against OKC, and then in the next matchup, they weren't hitting as much, and look what happened. So
OKC shot 38.9% last year.
Right. Over 40%, they'll be the world champions.
I think they've gotten better from beyond the arc this season.
Platone says
when you're taking away Giddey, who couldn't make an open 3 90% of the time, your numbers are going to go up.
Yeah,
I think what this team won't do, they will not, because Mark Dagnall will not. They will not play hero ball at the end of games.
Well, I mean, I don't think they'll play hero ball, but I think there'll be a lot of times where they put it in Shai's hand and let him.
Right, but they'll have other stuff working off on the other side of the floor.
I mean, probably. So, but
Lou Dort, guys. Lou Dort has their. Can you name another player that signed a 10-day contract that has turned into a player? I mean, name some of those guys that have ended up being a guy like Lou Dort. There's not many. There's a few.
There's not a whole lot. But realistically, I mean, what he's done, I mean, he was always a defensive guy, but what he's done on the offensive side has been just almost
he's constantly getting better.
Yeah, and I keep thinking every time. Maybe I'm the only Thunder fan that thinks this. I wouldn't, Hunter, I wouldn't think that I would be, but and I'd like to know in the chat, but I'm still every time he shoots it like I don't feel like he's
8 tonight.
I know he was, Hunter, but
I mean the moment to put the game out of reach, close it up, Lou Dort's there making those threes.
Okay, but Hunter, I don't know why it is, but every time he shoots, I'm like, that's not the
guy. Jay, you realize that's his
don't know
entire
why.
game on offense. So he probably takes about 300 of those shots a day.
What are you
That's all.
saying?
Defend and shoot the 3. That's his role.
3 and D. That's all they need him for.
Well, but I agree with you, but I don't think he's a 3 and D guy.
What is he then, Jay?
I think he's a D and he can drive. I don't consider him a 3-point shooter. I mean,
well, I'm not going to say he's an elite 3-point shooter.
What's his percentage?
That's his role. He stands on the 3-point line and gets the ball from Shai and shoots it.
What's his percentage over the last few years from 3?
Okay,
in the 30s.
So he
that's not a 3 and D guy. 30s.
His first year, 29.7. Then it went up to 34.3 on 2021. Last year he was 39.4. This year so far, 4 games in,
almost 40% last year.
3 games in, you have to add in tonight over 45%. So about
he's a 3 and D guy.
He keeps getting better. I agree, but I did think he can do more than 3. I think he's very good at driving to the basket.
We didn't say he couldn't, Jay.
Well, that when you say 3 and D is 3 and D. That's not anything else.
That's what he does mostly, Jay.
Go look up the definition of a 3 and D guy and name guys. Most of them can't do anything but 3 and D.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I don't.
Andre Robertson was a D guy. Hey, Crystal says, are we going to do this after every Thunder game? That's the goal. That is the goal.
And you're right, Talon. When it's going to get even nastier when Hardenstein gets in the mix. 2 7-footers is tough. I think they come out of the West. I agree. They come out of the West. I think they do. I do think Boston, if you want to talk about a conference where it's, I mean, you might as well go pencil them in. Nobody's beaten Boston on the East. Who's gonna challenge him at all?
The Heat.
Who knows? I don't know about the Heat.
I mean,
They've
that's
kind of fallen off.
You never know with Jimmy Butler, guys.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler's great in the playoffs. Just last few years hasn't been the
Nobody's
case.
going to challenge him.
I think maybe the Knicks, if they can start to gel. Again, we talked about it Monday. I'm not a fan of that trade that they made. Doesn't make any sense to me to break up that core that they had. And then the 76ers, they're not going to be healthy.
No.
I mean, Embiid's not playing. Paul George isn't playing.
Hey, all I know is
playoff time. Who knows?
It's Thunder and all over the place here where I'm at.
Yeah, we
Lightning
got some thunder
everywhere.
here too.
Yeah, storms coming in Oklahoma, and the OKC Thunder stormed the San Antonio Spurs tonight by the score of 105-93. We want to say thanks to everyone who's joined us here tonight on Thunderform Live. This is something we'll be doing most nights when they have a game as a little instant reaction post-game, a chance for you to also call in, give your comments. So share the word. Only place you can get the Thunderform Live right here on YouTube through the Sooner Surge. So make sure you're subscribed to our channel if you're new to it. Subscribe so you'll know when we go live here on Thunderform Live. Big shout out to everyone that's been watching. And we will see everybody on our next Thunderform Live, which will be Friday night, immediately after the Thunder take on the Portland Trail Blazers with their West Coast roadie coming up. We'll see you next time.